I distinctly remember my last podcast saying that I was going to ride my wave as long and as far as I could, and I crashed into the seashore maybe 2 days later. Hello, my name is Michelle, and this is Michelle's Fiber Studio podcast. Today is Wednesday, April 15th, and this is episode number 88. Well, welcome. It has been a couple of weeks since the last time I podcasted. Last weekend was exceedingly busy, which led into I just needed a week off kind of a thing. And it is late this week because, well, 2 weekends ago was exceedingly busy, so Easter weekend. And then last weekend, I actually had a nasty cold, so you can probably still hear the dregs of it. I'm feeling much better, but if I don't sound quite like myself, that is why, and it is also why I'm podcasting on Wednesday instead of Monday. So all of that at the top of the show. I have a ton to share with you, though. I have 2 finished objects. I worked on a lot of different projects. I have a new project. I have something new that arrived in the mail this week. So all kinds of things to go over and to share with you and to talk about, and I'm very excited about them all. So I am not wearing any knitting. It's cloudy today, although it is in the 60s. It has been in the 60s the last couple of days. It should be for the rest of this week. So spring is coming and it feels so good. But all that to say, I don't have any knitting on. So I believe with that, we can head straight over to my blocking board and take a look at those 2 objects that I finished. On my blocking board, well, not actually on my blocking board, but I do have 2 objects that I finished. I did the second version of my Scrat pop-up coaster, and I don't know, it actually does pop up. Can you see? A little bit of a pop-up, and then when I put there we go. It does a really good little flip up. I don't usually bother to reflip it this way, but I did the coaster part of this slightly differently than I had done with the first version, which I have since sent home with my son, by the way, so I don't even have it to show, but I probably could have made this one more round bigger. It's just a little too small because I have this piece here that is the head and that is attached, and so it makes it a little bumpy. I don't know if that's the right word, but not totally flat when I have something in there, and so it kind of gets in the way just a little bit, but with my larger coffee mugs in particular, it doesn't fit as well as maybe I would like. But if I have my skinnier, oh gosh, I don't remember the name of it, oh, they were all the rage, my brain, my water cup anyway, or something like that, or can, like if I have a Polar, that'll fit in there nicely. So that is a finished object. Number 1, I again used the Knit Picks cotton that I have had in my stash for forever, Simply Cotton. I did it in Marshmallow is the white. I don't remember which of the browns this is because I've put it away, but it was leftover yarn that I had kicking around. So kind of fun, and it just kind of makes me laugh. The second finished object I no longer have because it was a gift. And it is a square. It is the Summer Lilies square, which is by Claire Slade. And I will put a picture in right here. I'll try to leave it up for a little bit while I'm talking about it. But this is a square that I knit for a couple at our church who suffered a miscarriage. They were expecting a baby, had announced it about the middle of March, and then right before Easter, unfortunately, my friend had an ultrasound and they no longer could detect a heartbeat, and she was understandably devastated. So I turned to knitting, as we often do, right, to show our love and care, and was trying to find something that I could do that would somehow be a reminder or a remembrance without being a burden or, I don't know. So anyway, I hit on the concept of needing a remembrance square. So I found this pattern that I liked. It's got a bit of laciness to it, although the yarn that I chose, which is Wonderland Yarns Marianne, in After the Storm was the name of the colorway. And you may recall I knit my, I don't remember the name of the sweater, but it's the sweater that I re-knit and I had knitted originally and worsted and I re-knit it in fingering. But the yarn itself was the fundraiser colorway for the farms in the Carolinas after the floods that had hit that area of the country a couple of years ago, I think it was. So I had some leftovers, so I pulled that out. I liked that they were just kind of a neutral. Again, the laciness of the square was kind of lost in it a little bit. It definitely did not stand out as much as the solid in the pattern, but that's okay. I didn't mind. I liked it. I thought it came out really nicely. It worked up relatively quickly. I did it in one day pretty much. I had a personal day that I took and I was able to knit pretty much the whole thing in that one day. So, and then I did an attached I-cord bind off, which came out really nice. So I did give that to them and I let them know if they decide, because I do believe they're going to name the baby, that I would embroider a name on it if they would like, but for the moment, that is with them. So that is the second finished object that I have for this week. In my project bag this week, I have many different projects that I have worked on. Again, it's been a couple of weeks, and last weekend I was sick, so for part of the weekend I was actually too sick to even think about yarn, which is very sad. But as I started to improve a little bit, like was too sick to go out, but improved enough to actually focus, I was able to get a bunch of things done. So let's start with my Imagination Quilt. That is a pattern by Meema Makes that I've been working on since Christmas time using my Emma's Yarn Smallidays Advent Kit. I'm also using Knit Picks Stroll in the Bear colorway. So I have not one, but two completed squares today. So here is block 5. All seamed and got the sashing, all of my ends are woven in, and block 6. Both of these, I will say, oh, that came out really nice. I'm liking how that looks. Both of these I did, I will say, over the weekend. Like, yes, it's been a little over 2 weeks since the last time I podcasted, but I did both of these last weekend. And I have also, with block 7, got it pinned, and I think I stitched like literally one seam. Not even a full seam, like, yeah, a single square right here. So it's kind of fallen apart. It's not, you're not gonna be able to see much, but it is at least ready to go so that I can keep marching ahead on this project. But I don't know, I just kind of got a little bee in my bonnet to seam these together, and so I did, and had a great time with it. We'll keep on trucking. So that is project number 1. Project number 2, how about we talk about my sailing shawl. I took this out, and I had a meeting, I think, which is when I pulled this out, and I actually got the lion's share of this done. It was a virtual meeting, so I was able to sit there and knit and work on it. So I got quite a bit done because my marker is here, and so I did all of that. So I'm still in the greens, solidly in the greens. My yarn is Metamorphosis by Malabrigo in the Sloth colorway. So there we go. You can see there's still a fair bit of green in there. I'm looking forward to getting to the teals and the blues. Like, I like those colors. So how much green do I have left? Quite a bit still. That's okay. We will keep trucking away, but I am enjoying this one. I need to pull it out more. and work on that one some more. So that's that one. The next one I think I will take out is my watercolor cowl. This has been my Bible study knitting. And that one is coming along. Okay, there. I didn't want to lose those stitches and have them totally run away. That would be very, very sad, wouldn't it? But, okay, hold my needles good. There we go. That's where I'm at with this. So you can see my markers down here. So I got a fair amount done. I'm thinking I am probably about 2/3 of the way. I don't know. Do I have a tape measure here? Let's see what it measures. I know you can't see my lap, but I am measuring it. It's at just about 5 inches. So I don't know what it's supposed to be. I should actually look up because I am working off of, loosely, off the Mistake Rib Cowl pattern by Pearl Soho. I should pull up the pattern and see what the depth is that they recommend knitting it to. I can't imagine it's much more than 8 inches, and I'm at 5. So I've got 2.5, 3 inches to go, which is good because I am starting to work down my yarn. This is my Sandnes Garn Sisu in just a gray colorway. But there's the label for that one. I'm also holding with it this mohair, which is by the Alpaca Yarn Company. It's their Halo Watercolors in Atlantis is the colorway name for that one. So I am really happy with this. I'm liking the subtlety of these colors. It's, you know, got mostly the gray, but it's just got this very subtle variation. And so really, really, really pleased with that one. Okay, tuck it away. And let's see. How about we talk about my new project? So I did start something new. I began the blanket for my nephew and his wife for their baby. I did not get a ton of it done, but this, like, if I go like this, you can see it's pretty wide. But it is the Waffleicious Blanket by MJ's Off the Hook Designs. And so it creates, you use post stitches and doubles to create this lovely waffle fabric. It is so squishy. Oh my gosh, so squishy. So it is chunks of color. I'm using my Baby Bee yarn that I love so much for baby blankets. Sweet Delight. This is the Naked colorway. And then they're having a little girl. I have Boo Pink and Plum Pudding and Ballet Slipper, which is going to kind of go in between. So I haven't decided fully what order, probably this order here. And you do it in stripes. So I'm about halfway through the first stripe chunk. I don't know, however you want to put it. I do believe the color chunks are bigger than the white chunks that are in between everything. And I know I'm about halfway through the first chunk with this one. So need to get going on that because the baby shower is coming up. It's not until the second weekend in June. So I got a month and a half, but things can happen quickly at this time of the year. And I know that about myself. I know just kind of my life at this time of the year. So I definitely want to keep that one moving. I think the only other thing I'll mention is my Aura Lapghan. I decided to put in, while not literal hibernation, I haven't changed the status in Ravelry, but I have just tucked it away for the moment and decided that that is not a priority, and I'm okay with that. Maybe this summer I'll pull it out and really kind of be able to work through that, but it was taking up a fair amount of space behind me here in the corner, and I really would much rather focus my efforts on my Imagination Quilt and getting this one done. And then I have 3 different baby blanket projects that I need to get done. And I just don't want that to kind of just sit there. So I decided to make the decision that it's not going to get worked on because that felt like the right thing to do. So that one is off. And my Soubrette, I've also kind of basically decided I'm not going to work on that until I at least finish my sailing, probably my sailing shawl, or my watercolor cowl. I haven't decided yet. But again, I'm really coming to the conclusion that I do better when I have fewer projects, because I do tend to focus on one project at a time. I don't have a problem doing that. And when I have multiple projects, then I feel like I just do a lot of work on a lot of different things and don't actually get anywhere. So rather than kind of splitting my efforts, again, I'm trying to focus my efforts and complete some things, and then maybe have like a bigger project, you know, crochet project. Certainly I need like a mindless project, I guess is what we can call it, like my Good Bible Study project, which will typically be socks. Although I got my Malabrigo hat that I cast on that I haven't even looked at since I cast it on back in whenever it was that I cast on, November, I think, right? So that's okay, that'll sit there and that will get thrown into the rotation as I complete these things. But I think that's the conclusion that I'm arriving at, is I'm going to function better with fewer projects, and I can be more focused and more intentional on the projects that I do have. The last thing that I will pull out and show you really quickly is my cross stitch. I distinctly remember my last podcast saying that I was going to ride my wave as long and as far as I could, and I crashed into the seashore maybe 2 days later. Things just got really, really busy in my life, and I have not done, I don't think, a whole lot, although I pulled it out a couple of days ago and I did one color, but it did fill in a bunch of my son-in-law's face. So that's still moving, kind of where it's at, but it's really interesting that I know myself, see, and so I was not going to feel guilty. And that's why I've gotten so much more knitting done, because that is what I have chosen to focus on. But I do want to work on this. Next week is my April vacation week, so I'm really hoping I can get some time done on this. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about how to approach that, because I really don't want to focus on any one thing to the isolation of all the other great things that I have going that I want to work on. So maybe it's going to be every hour I roll the dice and I work on something different, or I don't know. I'm going to chew on that and think about that a little bit. But I think that is all of the project updates in my project bag that I have for you. On my yarn shelf, I do have something new that has arrived. I received my April Woolen Women Fiber box, which I am very thrilled with. I love getting these boxes, and at some point I am going to have to pull the plug on it, because I don't need to keep getting all of the project bags and candles that I get every month with them. But oh my gosh, I love it so much. So I did allow it to just renew again for another 3 months. 3 months I'll reassess, but for the moment I do have it coming. So this month is called You're Late. Well, it says you're late for a very important date. March marked 6 wonderful years of Woolen Women Fibers, and we're celebrating with you at our very merry Woolen unbirthday party. So I believe that is the name of the yarn, is Very Merry Unbirthday, something like that. So let's look at the goodies, but as you can imagine, it is kind of an Alice in Wonderland kind of a theme. So we've got like a hang tag here with a little bit of a ruler, and it says drink me. I don't know what they're calling this. List. I don't know what they're called. Wooden, nope. Oh, drink me ruler. It's just a ruler. But I can hang off a project bag if you would like. There is a Very Merry Unbirthday pin. There is a lotion bar. And the scent, does it say what the scents are? Lanolin, shea butter, cocoa butter, mango butter, and essential oils, lemon pound cake. All right. I have these adorable little stitch markers from Sam's Tiny Trinkets. There's a candle. This is Unbirthday Cake. It is vanilla, cake, and sugar. They smell so good. Oh yeah, they always smell so good. And then look at this little project bag. It's such a cute little pouch. It's not very big, but just enough for a pair of socks or something small, like a small little project bag. Very, very cute. So, and then of course the star of the show is the yarn. So, where is it? Very Merry Woolen Unbirthday. So we've got purples, mostly purple, and teal with some pinks. There's a teal and a purple mini skein to go with it. If I slide this up, you can see there's some pinks in there and a little bit of orange maybe. Very, very fun. So that, in addition to, I am not pulling out, but I got a whole bunch of the baby bee yarn for those baby blankets that he needed, so that I did end up picking that up. But you'll see those as they come around. So that's what's new on my yarn shelf right now. Well, finally in this week's day-to-day, I am gonna try not to spend a ton of time. It has been a couple of weeks, and they have been actually quite busy, but I'll try to hit kind of the highlights and the broad strokes. So I did, when I filmed last, it was, I believe, March 30th, and my birthday was on April 1st. I turned 50, and my friends from work took me out for like a late lunch, early dinner, like it was like after school got out, so around 2:30. We went to a local hibachi, and it was so much fun. There were 6 of us, 7 of us, something like that. I don't know. Good group, great group that I really hang out a lot with at work. My 2 best buds and the assistant principal and a couple of other teachers that I spend a fair amount of time with. So that was super chill, super relaxed, and it was perfect. Like, I'm not a big one for big parties and big things, but it was nice to be recognized in a small way. And so it was simple. It was just enough. It was perfect. Just enough. So that was April 1st. That following weekend was Easter weekend, but before we hit Easter, we had the Odyssey of the Mind tournament. So the entire weekend was just jam-packed. From Friday at 3, I did not stop moving literally until 5 p.m. on Easter Sunday. We did set up at the high school from 3. I was there from 3 until almost 6 o'clock. Went from there straight over to church for the Good Friday service. Got up the next morning at 5 a.m. and was back at the high school for 6 a.m. We didn't end up leaving there until 8:30 at night. By the time all was said and done, and then got up the next morning for Easter service. So yeah, it was a exceedingly long and exhausting weekend. But the tournament was great. It was so much fun to see all the kids, all their creativity. Everything went mostly pretty smoothly. We ran into a little hiccup when it came to the awards ceremony, which is why we actually ended up running an hour behind. But other than that, the rest of the day went just really, really, really well. And then Easter is my favorite holiday of the year. It's such an important holiday in my faith, and one that I really enjoy focusing on in the resurrection. So I always enjoy celebrating, and it felt extra sweet this year, even though I was really tired, because last year I chaperoned that trip to Washington, D.C., as you may recall, and we left on Easter Sunday, and I didn't have a choice in that matter. And so I kind of feel like I missed out on Easter. I did miss out on Easter, really, to be honest. So it felt really nice to be celebrating again. And we had our traditional Easter breakfast at church, and then our service. And then from there, we went over to my mom's and had an Easter dinner together. And then I came home and collapsed. It was, yeah, I was pretty wiped out. I ended up deciding the next day on Monday to take a personal day, which I do not do. I think that's only the second time that I've taken a straight up personal day. And it was delightful. And I spent the day really relaxing and chilling. And I don't even remember what I worked on at this point. And then the rest of the week was decently, busy at work, but quietish around the house. So that was good. But then on Thursday really, I started to get sick. And I came down and I had a nasty cold last weekend. I ended up having to call in sick on Friday. And I did not move out of my recliner for 3 straight days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was able to go back to work on Monday, taking it kind of slow, and I'm getting there. I can breathe okay. I can tell that my glands are still a little swollen, or my sinuses or something. Like my nasal passage is clear, and I can breathe okay, but I can tell it's still not quite right, but I'm feeling pretty good. Today my appetite finally seemed to be coming back, so that's been really nice. Yeah. And that brings me to today. Like, it's wild and crazy. This time of year is crazy. The kids are amped up because we are getting ready for vacation next week. So that, I believe, pretty much wraps up what I wanted to share with you for this week. I thank you so very much for joining me. If you would please like the podcast and subscribe so that you know when I post new content, I would appreciate it. I also love it when you comment, and I try to comment back. So please keep those comments coming, and it does help to kind of raise that up in the YouTube algorithms when you do that. You can also send me an email if you would like at michellesfiberstudio@gmail.com. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Knittin Michelle, KNITTINMICHELLE. And with that, I hope you have a fantastic week and happy knitting.